Good morning, everyone. I'm Nidhi Shah. I am a core team member of Cybersecure India. I would like to welcome you all for your 12th session with us. The topic for today's session is going to be Android pen testing, and we are honored to have with us speaker Mr. Kiran Kumar Subudhi with us. Let me introduce him to you all. Mr. Kiran Kumar is experienced security analyst with expertise in multiple domains of cybersecurity, which includes web applications, infrastructure, pen testing, blue teaming, digital forensic investigation, etc. He is among the top 15 researchers. He has also received Hall of Fame appreciation from various organizations like Paytm, Hotstar, OnePlus, Hackers Era, Mastercard, and many more. We are honored to have him as the core team member of Cybersecure India. Being the core team member of CSI, he has trained many students, police, and law enforcement agencies. And I would love to welcome Kiran sir today with us. And just request him to
Thank you, Indeed, for a brief introduction, and welcome all the interns to this particular session on mobile pen testing, or we can say Android application pen testing. So this session is divided into two parts. One is the static analysis, and second is the dynamic analysis. So in today's session, we will be looking into the static analysis orientation point of view, like how exactly a static analysis is being done in Android, and we'll be looking into how like we'll be breaking them into different parts, like what are the different architecture of Android, what are different components. So moreover, we won't be taking looking into a practical orientation. It will be most of theory and a basic understanding of Android part, because that is more important to understand or break down and go into dynamic details of Android application pen testing. So if you're any curious, you can definitely unmute yourself and ask me. And yes, because if you raise your hands, there's a high chance that I won't be able to see it. Or if you put something in the chat, so you are always allowed to unmute yourself and ask me a question in between. And the second part is like, if you think sometimes I go fast or slow, you can don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, so let's get started with the session. Okay, so initially starting with the Android architecture. Okay, so Android architecture. So anyone has any idea what is how exactly is the Android architecture? What is built with? As most of them might be knowing that Android is nothing but a Linux, is also made up of Linux kernel. So most of the commands that you insert or use in, we can say, so basically, whatever the command that you use in Linux is already is applicable in Android also. So if you install some terminal like Android terminal or term or something and try to insert some commands, you will be able to see that it's absolutely the same commands. Like 99% commands will work the same. So it is a Linux kernel that is being using. So it contains four different elements. So just giving graphical interface for it. So let me just add here Android components. Okay. And let me just pull up one image, which is no, not components, it's architecture. Okay, so this looks good. Let's pull the one which has much better information on this. Mm, okay, so this is the Linux kernel, like I already mentioned over in this screen. So in the Linux kernel consists of hardware allocation and Android applications in drivers and everything. So when you install drivers, when you install some there is some kind of hardware components and everything, allocation part, and that occurs in the Linux kernel. This is the base layer, which might be camera driver, Bluetooth driver, okay, and the hardware part, IC binding, Wi-Fi. So whichever hardware, when I say hardware, for example, this camera is a hardware. Can you use this camera directly? We need an application, right, to communicate with this hardware. So for communicating this hardware with the software or the operating system, we need some kind of drivers. This is something that happens or occurs in the Linux kernel level. So this all these drivers and this software or operating system, this operating system gives a beautiful interface to this particular hardware. Suppose if I give a memory card and say, try to enjoy this memory card contains lots of images, videos, Netflix series, your courses and everything. But will you be able to use it without a operating system, without a application, or like without file manager or something? So basically, what these drivers do, these drivers help you to. I think I'm not sharing my entire screen. Sorry. Okay. So basically, what these drivers do, these drivers give a beautiful interface to the application, to this particular hardware. So if you want to capture images, you cannot directly capture it. You need a apps camera application so that you can view what exactly is going on. So this basically drivers are nothing but it is giving a beautiful it is a connectivity between the hardware and the software. And the software what does it? It gives a beautiful interface to this particular hardware. So then comes the libraries. What example libraries is it? I use SL, SQLite, and various other different kind of libraries and areas. And so all these libraries comes under the second part. This is component number two. Okay, layer two we can say. And apart from this, you might be aware that Android works in a runtime environment. When I say runtime environment, you might be initially when before Android we used to get touchscreen phones. Haven't we used touchscreen phone? I'm not saying about Android, but before Android, there was something called touchscreen phones. Anyone? Seems like this guys haven't used touchscreen phones. But what are this difference in the touchscreen phone and Android phone is like they also we are used to actually touch it using our nails or we would be having like longer touch presses we can say, and none of things used to work in background. So suppose if you play music and I have to minimize it, the music will get stopped, and then whatever new function you will open, that will work. So it won't work in the background part. So that was something was missing. But Android is multifunctional and works and has lots of things work in the background. And secondly, Android is a virtual machine. When you say it is standalone system, no, it's not standalone system. It's a Dalvik virtual machine. So, like for example, in Windows, you actually run a virtual machine and then install something. So basically, in Android itself is a virtual machine. Even you see, it's a physical device. In the physical way, it is actually running a virtual machine. It's a Dalvik virtual machine with a Linux OS and some interfaces into it. Then comes a application manager. This application manager is very important for the pen testing part because most of the things that you do in the pen testing is based on the application framework. This application framework is the most used one, and you might be seeing it into a day-to-day life, but might not be aware of it. So, in this scenario, there are something called activity management. So whenever you call anything, for example, you are launching any kind of application. So what are screens that you're getting? The screens are nothing but activities. Every new screen is a new activity that is being called. That's window manager. There are lots of windows that you open. Okay. Into your application. For example, there are multiple we can say as applications which are opening in a new window. There's also option available in most of the phones, but that needs to be enabled in which you can in Windows you have multiple windows like small windows on the same screen that you can do it. There are content providers. It's like a mini database kind of stuff from where you can extract contents and various other things. So we will be getting to more details of it once we go from the practical orientation or dynamic analysis part of you, or in the upcoming session. What exactly this activity manager is? How can you call them? What is it? So similar things are available like for notification location manager for running any kind of service is something that is exam manager in service basically. So, but apart from this, package manager is very important because every application has a unique package name. For example, every we say for every person has a unique name, right? and his name is linked to some kind of other card, and every individual might have, some of the individual might have similar names but cannot have similar Aadhaar card number, right? So Aadhaar card is a unique identity through which we can identify ourselves. So in a similar manner, there's package manager who on for every application, for every APK basically, there is a unique name. So even though the name can change, like a name can be same, for example you might have two Subway servers, but both will be having a different package name. You're getting me? Once you install any application, so you can install two applications the same package name. You can install two or more applications with same application name, but you can install without with same package name. So you'll be getting into more details like how can we check the packaging, what is the package name, how to analyze it, and so on and so forth. And the final layer is the application layer, which everyone is aware of, which you are using in the front end now, or what application that all comes in the application layer. So are you clear with this part? Why we are learning application layer? And second part is like why exactly and how it will be used in the future. Now, what is runtime? Runtime I already explained you. Like basically, it is an environment in which Android applications run. Android application is just an dialog executable file. So when you say this APK, what exactly this APK is? There is nothing but an executable file. You actually install it, and it's get executed after getting installed. It's like, for example, in Windows, you install exe or MSI. In Linux, you can install .deb or RAM or various extensions based on the what kind of operating system you're using. Okay, so in the similar manner, Android uses APK, but nowadays there are various more extensions coming to picture. As we have something called a split APK concept, but initially it was just APK file. But now we will be seeing looking into that part, like what are other extensions into a picture. So you can see nowadays we have something called as .xapk, .apks, .apk. So these are nothing but the split APK. But if you see about the standalone single APK, that is .apk only. For rest of them are the split APK and various versions of split APK. Okay, so whoever is not able to see the screen properly over YouTube can change the resolution. There is the option in YouTube to change the resolution. Or might be the network issue. In that scenario, you won't be able to have a good viewing experience. So check your network first. Okay. So now, apart from this normal architecture, which we are seeing, that is the Android architecture. That there is something called a security architecture. So you might be familiar with this part, but not might be familiar with this term. You might be seeing initially Android didn't have some from initial stages of Android. We have something called as allow permission, allow storage, allow these, allow that. These are nothing but permissions that is taken and that is taken care whenever you try to install any kind of application. Even if you go back in time, it was like all the permissions were auto allowed, but you have to actually allow once to allow all the permissions basically. Now we have individual permissions, and later in time, like in Android 10 and 11 or 12, we have more customized permissions like allow by using the app or something for some of the permissions like location and stuff. But from starting on from the start only, we have something called as permission based model. So this is one part that is taken care by Android, that is permission control. Until and unless you don't provide a particular permission, and application won't be able to take the permission or perform any activity
They
of this.
don't have a-
Yeah.
They're very good.
Does someone want to say something? Okay, I can say Gush is have a question. The mobile apps were coming in .java format. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so this .java format is only for applications that are built on Java using Java, but there are various other applications on which Android applications are built. like for example C. Some application I used build using Python, but this is a very rare one. But when I say about the most common one, so most common language for building Android application are Kotlin, React Native, then Flutter, and many more. So nowadays, if you see, most of the people are moving from Java to Kotlin because that is more we can say has optimized code and more functionalities in point significance and better to use. So most of the people in even companies are moving from Java to Kotlin. But 90% applications today are built in Java because Java has a very long journey. Like it was one of the most used language in the past, and Kotlin has arrived right now. And when it comes to React Native and Flutter and stuff, this is used because Java and Kotlin supports only Android, whereas the React Native and Flutter are the language that are React Native languages. They supports both Android and iOS. It's like you just build an application, and you will be able to that the same application code will be able to use for iOS as well as Android. So some people prefer React Native and Kotlin. Say not Kotlin, React Native language of Flutter basically. Okay, I hope this answers your question. So Java is just for a specific language uh, in which it is built. Coming to the next part, that is a privilege control. So one is like the permission control that everyone is doing, but there is something called as process ID, PID, and UID, user ID. So this you can see in the terminal, like using a command called ps-a, which lists all the processes. So whenever you try to run an application, there is something called a process ID that is bounded to a particular application, and that particular process ID works on the particular so that particular application works on the particular process ID. The same you can see in terms of Linux also, and the same is applicable over Android because both are Linux. And both model runs parallel to provide security. So this both these things, that is permission control as well as privilege control. And when it comes to when you see there is something called as the root. So in Linux, you just have to use sudo su and you get the root access. But in the Android, you by default you are always provided the local admin rights. You are not provided the sudo user or something. So to get that sudo user or to get the access to that particular user, that is root user, you need to root your phone. Or when it comes to iPhone, you need to jailbreak your phone to get the root access. When it comes to Windows and Linux, normal Linux system, I'm saying like Debian based, like Kali, Parrot, and stuff. You by default get a root access because you are actually installing the particular application. You have the full privileges or what kind of rules and regulations or whatever you wanted. But when it comes to Android, the OS is pre-installed. So most of the time, they in 19 in all almost in all the vendors don't provide you the root access, except I think there was some Eureka phone coming to picture in between that used to provide a Cyanogen or OS with a root access. But almost all the vendors, except Eureka, don't provide sudo access or root access basically. One question is bootloader should be on to get the sudo access. For routing purpose, bootloader is required. Uh, so privilege control is for kernel. Okay, so it is not just for kernel. It's basically for the processes. Like whenever it's for the entire application, we can say. So whenever you are trying to run an application, uh, a particular application can run on particular process ID, and one process ID cannot be hijacked with another with another process ID. Two applications cannot have the same PID. So if you want to kill something, you just use something like task kill or hyphen F or hyphen 9, whatever the tags are, and the process ID to kill that particular application. Okay. Now coming to the next part. So there's something that I was explaining. Every app is given separate UID and PID. If the user ID is the owner, so is the owner of the application, the process ID will also be the owner of that particular UID. So if one application is having one PID, and one EID. So both will be having a particular owner. Suppose you are running an application over root, so that root user will having that particular PID, and if you are running application over user, so that user ID or that particular ID will be mapped to a particular PID. So both will work parallelly. If someone is not speaking, please keep yourself on mute. Okay. Now coming to Android manifest.xml. So this is one of the most important file that you should know, because most of the vulnerabilities that you find when you come in the static analysis part and try to when we try to analyze this Android application, then you will come to know that most of the applications work on most of vulnerability that you find are based on Android manifest XML. So hence we say this is the most important file from the attacker point of view. You can say, or with a like pen tester point of view. But it is also the most important file from a developer point of view. Why? Without manifest file, you cannot build an application. All the Android applications require Android manifest XML file. The reason is all the permissions or all the execution part is actually declared in Android manifest file. Like which activity should put the activities that are involved in the Android application, what are intent filters, what are services, broadcast content providers. So everything is declared, even the permissions. And the permission that you see in the Android application in the front end interface is way less as compared that is declared in the Android manifest file. In Android manifest file, you will getting to know like what are in the details that are using. For example, allow access to camera. Have you seen anytime that a particular application? Okay, camera is okay. You actually allow access to camera, but anything like allow access to internet, allow access to Bluetooth, allow access to Wi-Fi. So there are so many such kind of permissions that that need to be declared, and that you will be able to see in the Android manifest file, whereas won't be able to see in something called as normally in the front end you won't be able to see it. So all these permissions are actually declared in the back end. Okay. So let me just do one thing. Let me just open one application so that I can just, let you know how to you can see it practically also. Then let me open JDX. You won't be able to see my screen for a while. Once I open JDX and the application, then I will be sharing the screen again. Okay, Diva Beta. Good. Okay. Done. I have just opened one of the application. Let me share my screen again. So here is it. So there's nothing but I've just opened this JDX GUI, and there's something like file, open file, and we can select any of the application that we want. And once we select one application, we'll be able to see this is one of the vulnerable application. And this is a very good tool for viewing the Android decompiled source code, we can say. There's not the actual original source code, but you will be able to see most of the components that are required. And for basic code analysis and everything, you use this particular tool. Here, just when just click on this file, you'll be able to see the Android manifest file that we're talking about. So if you see over here, there's something called as package name. Once again. So here in the first line, in the second line, basically, once you scroll down, you will get the version. So when you say you're using version 1, version 32, version 33, or whatever it is, so it is actually defined over here. And based on this is your application package name or version is being shown in the front end. Then when I say a package name, so package is equal to something, something, something like Convert Android or something, or here is Jakarta or something Diva. So this is something the package name that is being declared over here. And there's something called as uh, a platform build version, and one more is something like minimum SDK and maximum SDK. This minimum SDK and maximum SDK is something uh, that declares like which Android version is this application actually supported. Sometime I probably believe that at least someone might have seen that this application is not supported to your device. Have you encountered such kind of errors before? Anyone for any of kind of application? Nowadays it has
Yes,
been
sir.
yeah. So this is because of this particular minimum SDK and maximum SDK. So you can easily bypass it by changing that particular as so there's a translation for this 15 and 23. You just have to go to Google and write like for example, let's take an example from here only. Let's go to JDX and let's take the minimum one, that is 15. SDK 15 to Android. SDK 15 to Android version. Yeah, just Android version. So you can just use it such kind of thing. And here you will be getting so here is it. So and API level 33 is 1 second. Okay, now this is Android API level 33. 33 indicates Android 13. 31, 32 indicates Android 12. So in this also they have mentioned like if there are two levels now, so they mentioned that for Android 12 it is 31. Android 12L drop feature. Like there are beta version and various other versions. For that they have different version API level versions. So in this particular manner you can see what exactly you are looking for. So let's take about the current example that is 15. You can just like control F API level 15 and you will be getting to know over here. So it is Android 4.0.3. And if you want to know the name of Android, probably it is I think uh, gingerbread or something. I think it's gingerbread. I don't take it exactly or jelly bean. You can just go over here and see our name and you'll get it. So it is ice cream sandwich. Right. So so basically the minimum version that it is supporting ice cream sandwich as minimum, and for maximum it is supporting that is 23. So what exactly is 23? Let's try to decode it. Control F and let's try 23. So here's it. So it is Android 6. Or you can just there's also a index over here so that you can see all the levels in one page. So 26 is Android 8, that is Oreo. Okay, Android Oreo. So it is supporting from ice cream sandwich to Android Oreo. Got it? So this is how we can decode all the things from this particular manifest file. These are user permissions, like it is saying that write external storage and read external storage. In the front end phase, now you will be only seeing all access to storage. It won't say to rewrite or whatever it is. So whatever is you if you want to know the internal of any Android application, you have to decompile it and see like what are permissions they are giving. Once they are giving a permission to the storage part, then you are actually giving a read and write both access. So it can write anything to our application as I read anything from via a storage easily. You provide access to the internet. So this is something that is not present in the front end. So, there's so many similar features, we can say permissions that are declared in the Android application that are present, but it is not reflected in the front end part. So this is how an a basic manifest file looks like. There are activities, like I mentioned, activities, and there's intent filters. There are services, broadcasts, and something, but this application doesn't have anything. And it's a vulnerable application. But if you open a random application, no, then a bigger application like might be anything like GeoTV or mhm, something like smart device or something, Williams Samsung or or Candy Crush or any kind of games or something, PUBG and everything. So in that scenario, you will get lots of things. The heavier the game is, heavier the application is, the more functions, more function features, and more other things will be utilized. Okay, so I hope you are familiar with this particular terms and understanding the practical orientation of how exactly it is and how can we decode and understand these files. Now coming to the next part. Okay, this is done. Now what exact? Now some might have question like why are we using this particular application to decode this file? We can use a .zip and extract this particular file or using any kind of lots of archive and all stuff. But the problem with the .zip file is that it doesn't decompile. It just use some of the files, not all the files. Let me show you one thing. Okay, let's take this example. F2. Let me just make a zip. Okay, yes. If I just open this file and try to open this file. So this is how it looks like. It is not in the readable format. Once we use .zip, the same manifest file is not readable. There might be some files that are readable, but there are some files that are not readable. So this is the reason why we actually convert it into, or we just decompile it or extract it using JDAX and stuff. So this zip file might provide you some of the details and stuff that maybe this file you are able to view it properly. No, you are still not able to view it. So in this similar manner, you are not able to view all the files properly. So we have to convert into uh, extract this particular file and not make into .zip. .zip also works, but you will be able to just see the name for the particular file, but not the details that are present into the particular files. Okay, so I hope that clears it out. Like why not zip and why decompile? Close it. Now coming to Android application development cycle. So how how exactly this Android application is built? So what exactly happens when you decompile this code? So why are you able to see some kind of code but not the actual source code? So what are things that are happening behind the scenes? Let's try to understand. So initially it's a Java source code. So this is typically for Java application because 90% applications work on Java. So I have focused more on the Java application. So this Java source code is compiled using Java compiler, and this Java compiler converts in Java bytecode. Okay, and this bytecode is then compiled using DEX. So you get to see something called as classes.dex. So not over here, but if you see the zip file, you'll be able to see everything is in the class similar to class.dex. Let me show you. Once it decompiled, this X file gets decompiled more. So to understand things better, let me just see as a TPK. I just create a folder and add the APK over here. Okay, let me create on test folder. New folder. test folder, and here's so if I just go here and just click on zip, so this is not a decompiled application. So you will able to see all the internal components as it is present in application. So you will get something like classes or decks. So this class or decks is nothing but the we are focusing on this part. So it is passing the Dux compiler. So it creates a Dalvik file, basically generates a Dalvik bytecode, and this particular Dex file contains this Dalvik bytecode. Okay, so this is how the application is built. This Dalvik bytecode has an extension called Dex, like I already shown you here. So in the previous in this particular zip example, this is having a Dalvik bytecode that contains uh text file. So this text file has all the activities, or actually all the components that are actually required to uh, run this particular application. So these files are zipped into .apk file, and used for installation purpose. So this .zip file, like we have seen, the zip file the extension is being changed to .apk, and it is used for installation purpose. Okay, all these components which are present in this particular zip file. So basically, this APK is not nothing but a zip which contains all these elements. Okay, so we cannot install it using zip. So we just make it to APK, and this zip file becomes an APK, and it becomes an installable or executable file. Now coming to the components. The first component, that is an activity. So activity, as I rightly mentioned, anything that you see visual, any screen visuals, whenever you have to launch an application, the screen that you get, every screen is nothing but an activity. When you click on a button and new screen occurs, that is nothing but an activity. But how exactly activity looks like in the background? Let me try to install one application. Is Initially we have seen Java based application, right? So now we will be seeing into Kotlin application. How exactly Kotlin looks like. So let me take the latest build. When we'll download it. Okay. Save. Okay. Now this file got saved. Please just open a new project, new open file. First, so it is it. So now we are able to see much more files, much detailed files. Okay. So here's it. So we are talking about the components called activity. So all the activity components, activity on, so let's close this. Required. part. This is an activity that screens, and the second is an intent filter. So intent filter is nothing but it is used to combine two or more Android applications. For example, if you want to combine two activities, or you have to perform something based on the one particular activity. So in that part, that you this intent filters are being used. So you can see some intent filters look something like if they start with a tag called intent, and activity started with something called activities, and these are activities, for example, Blackboard, these are all the screens basically of these particular activities. And next comes the services. So before coming to service, let's try to understand some kind of intent filters. So when this, let's take an example activity, or that is this, that is splash. Screen. So when you see such kind of activity like splash screen or main activities are nothing but an launcher activities. Okay, so launcher activities nothing. Once you try to click on the icon, you open the launcher and click on the icon called as, for example, Candy Crush. So once you click on the Candy Crush, you get a the application it runs. So this, whenever you're clicking on this particular icon, the activity that is being called, that is nothing but a main activity launch activity. You're getting me? Clear? So this launch activity is always exported is equal to true. So never we'll be coming to the terms like export is equal to true, and most of the activities that are export is equal to true are vulnerable, but that's an exception for this launcher activity. For example, when you see in metals, all metals are liquid inside, not solid, sorry, all metals are solid, but there is an exception for mercury, right? Mercury is a metal but it's a liquid. So similar manner, all the export activities are most of the time vulnerable, but an exception is for the main activity of the dashboard, the launcher activity. So the launcher activity is always export is equal to, and it is not vulnerable. Okay, because it is required to launch a particular application, so it has to be export is equal to true. Got it? Now coming to this point, that is intent. So what does intent do? Intent is trying to call multiple various activities. Like for example, this particular, once you call this activity, there should be an action item for this particular activity. That's a main action. And second, the category is the launcher category. Like it needs to work as a launcher. In this particular manner, there are activities and intent filters where it has something called as browsable activity or various other kind of activities that are passed in the intent. So it helps this intent actually helps that particular activity to perform some kind of actions based on actions, categories, and various other things. Okay, like passing a data in that particular activity and stuff. So it's trying to bind various other things when it comes to intent filters. It's combine various components that needs to be performed by an activity. So what are services? Any idea? What are services? Anyone? Okay, no one. Just assume you are downloading a file. So once you're downloading a file, you might have noticed that this file downloading occurs in the background. You will be able to see something in the notification that um it is getting downloaded in the background, work in the background. So what are things that occur in the background after executing a particular task? The nothing but service. Download service is running, music service is running, or exercise service is running. So which are things that run in the background are nothing but services. Got it? Whichever scenes that you're seeing visually, the screens, the other activities, the service that you're running in the background. Now you will say what are content providers and broadcast users. So content providers, as I say, it's kind of like local database from which there's an API, something that is calling and fetching some contents from it. As the name says, content provider. For example, if you're trying to upload or down, you fetch some file from the WhatsApp local DB or something, or from the path called as data convert WhatsApp dot application or whatever the package name is. So it has a particular directory from which it is trying to fetch some kind of content or try to retrieve some kind of content. That is a part of content providers. Now, which has a tag called provider. Okay, and there is something called broadcast receiver. So what exactly it has a tag called as a receiver. When you see receiver, then you need to understand that it is a broadcast receiver. So what does this broadcast receiver do? Do you have any examples of broadcast receiver? You might have at least what is broadcast in no idea what is broadcast. You might have learned in school or heard somewhere. Just forget about this Android broadcast is. What does this broadcast mean? You might have seen WhatsApp chats also. Broadcast messages.
Means that we will send it in a group, but everyone receives it in personal, something like that.
Okay, so it's like an casting to everyone, like someone mentioned, or sending to everyone, or we can say to be specific, sending in a bulk, but it is just we are just sending. It's a one-way communication. When we create a call, we both can communicate with each other. When you create a group, we both can communicate with each other. When it comes to broadcast, it's just a one-way communication. Suppose if you are sending to bulk, 10 people in a group, so all the 10 people can communicate with us in the same group. But when it comes to broadcast, it is just we are sending it. They won't be. They can reply us on one individually, but there won't be like it won't be a two-way communication with the entire team or something. So this broadcast zero where we get one-way communications. Okay, so it's like we are just sending them blindly. There is no point like they can communicate with us back. So such kind of things you can see in notifications like WhatsApp notifications or I'm not saying about the chat notifications like WhatsApp is even notification like mm, or like downloading or backup in progress. Like at 2 o'clock, there's something like backup in progress, which occurs in background. You guys know, you just get a notification. Irrespective of WhatsApp doesn't send you that particular message, but it has a broadcast receiver that is that gives you a notification that okay, internal notification that backup is in progress. there are various times, like for example the alarm clock. So as soon as you set an alarm like for 10 a.m. for this particular lecture, so automatically the notification will come and it will start ringing. So these are like internal components or internal notification that your that application has set, and based on that this gets triggered. So these are not something that are working in background. These are not something that has interface or you're working on some screens, but there's something that is giving you a notification or a hint, or we can say some kind of alerts, a ringing sound or something that is scheduled, and it's a one way. You just stop it, you just perform, you can perform some kind of actions, but it is generated based on the schedule that you have created or scheduled by which an application is predefined. Okay, for example, WhatsApp 2 p.m. Back is predefined, and it gives a toast or it gives a notification or something. So this kind of notification or something that is a one way, or we can interact with it, but it's automatic or being scheduled. That is something called as broadcast system. You're getting me? So, so my ultimate question is like, and do now you are able to understand what is the difference between activity, services, and broadcast receiver? Hmm? या हेलो, समझा कि नहीं कि तीनों में फर्क क्या है? हेलो, I'm audible? Yes. ओके, तो चीजें कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं, सिंपल है। जो स्क्रीन पे तुम्हें दिखता है, जो एक्टिविटीज खुलता है वो एक्टिविटी है, जो बैकग्राउंड में चलता है वो सर्विसेज है, जो डेटाबेस लोकल डेटाबेस से कुछ पुल होता है वो कंटेंट प्रोवाइडर है, एंड जो चीजें नोटिफिकेशन फॉर्म में आती है इंटरनेट से नहीं, मैं लोकल नोटिफिकेशन की बात कर रहा हूँ। लोकल नोटिफिकेशन वो ब्रॉडकास्ट है। अभी तो क्लियर, वन लाइनर में बता दिया मैंने।
Yes, sir.
बेटर। चलो अभी आते हैं नेक्स्ट टर्मिनोलॉजी के ऊपर, नेक्स्ट चीजों के ऊपर। जो भी मैं तुम्हें बता रहा हूँ ना, ये सब का तुम्हें प्रैक्टिकल्स होने वाले हैं आगे के सेशन में। लाइक ये इंटरनेट फील्ड को कैसे एक्सप्लोइट करना है, एक्टिविटी को कैसे एक्सप्लोइट करना है, ये सर्विसेज क्या है, तो क्यों एक्सप्लोइट करते हैं, ये कंटेंट प्रोवाइडर्स क्या है, एवरीथिंग एज एन प्रैक्टिकल ओरिएंटेशन एंड एक्सप्लोइटेशन पार्ट। बट जब तुम्हें ये पता ही नहीं रहेगा कि ये होता क्या है, तो एक्सपेक्ट करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, वो ब्लाइंड अप्रोच हो जाएगा। इसीलिए आज हम थियरी कवर कर रहे हैं, एंड मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ कि आज मच एज पॉसिबल हम कोड रिव्यू के पॉइंट्स एंड से देख सकें, ताकि हमें प्रैक्टिकल करने में बहुत ईजी होगा। ओ सॉरी सॉरी सॉरी, आई जस्ट फॉरगॉट इट, सम पीपल डजंट नो हिंदी। In a flow, I just started in Hindi. Sorry, sorry. So basically, I was saying that today we are doing this theoretical part and trying to analyze the source code basically of this particular application, so that it will be easier for us to perform exploration once we start hunting on the live application, or we can say on some kind of vulnerable applications. Okay. Okay, someone saying Hindi is also good, but the problem is like people who are joined in this lecture are from various states and might be from various countries, so everyone doesn't know Hindi. So that's the reason why we have to stick to English, because English is a common language that is known to everyone. Okay, I hope you understand. Hmm. So there is something called as setting up lab, or we can say for Android pen testing and stuff. So we Santoku is a lab that is like that we will prefer for someone who is a beginner. But if someone is who has already good hands-on with Android pen testing, there's now as such lab setup required. You can work on any platform. It might be Kali or Parrot or whichever Ubuntu Debian, whichever platform you want. Even for Windows will work fine. There's no platform dependency or lab setup required. If he is someone who has a good hands-on with Android application dependency. But for a beginner point stand, I would say Santaku. And why Santaku? Because Santaku is all the pen testing tools, or we can say, for example, it might be it might be like APK tool, or it might be any kind of like browser, Frida, and various other things are pre-installed in Santaco. So you don't have to create a setup or don't have to do something. So to create anything. So it becomes very handy for doing mobile application pen testing using Santaco operating system. You can get it. It is also called a Swiss knife for Android application pen testing and forensics basically. So it has all the tools pre-installed and you don't have to struggle installing it or doing a setup or everything. So it can be used on mobile forensics, mobile malware, mobile security and stuff, or mobile pen testing, mobile application pen testing. So Santaco is one of them. These are basic commands like control alt to open a terminal and cdls. You might be familiar with this because already Linux fundamentals has been done. And one thing that most of the people face issue is like they have a very short screen, like something like this much internal screen, but they are not able to view the entire screen. In that scenario, you can go to devices, guest editions, and CD image and try to install a particular guest edition tools, and you will be able to have a full view experience of their particular Santic operating system. This is similar for all the operating systems nowadays. They have pre-installed guest edition tools. In case it's not installed now, then you can install it to have a full screen preview experience. Now coming to Android device bridge. Okay, that is ADB. What is ADB? Have anyone used ADB before? Hmm. Since most of the people are
Yes,
from
sir.
okay. So for what reasons have you used ADB? Can you share your experience examples?
So for ADB we have used to connect with the Android shell. We can push, pull, install applications using ADB. It's like a bridge between our normal operating system and our Android application. It can be an emulator also, a virtual emulator. ADB will help you to communicate with the Android device.
Right, absolutely correct. So, she mentioned that Android device is nothing but an interface. Basically, it's a bridge to communicate with the system as well as the device. So, if your Windows system or Linux system wants to communicate with this particular Android, so we use ADB. For most of the exploration first, we use ADB. But apart from ADB, we can also work on real world code and stuff. So ADB is a super powerful tool and can do lots of things if you give unauthorized access to ADB. Basically, it can work as a remote desktop. It can control your entire phone. It can work like AnyDesk. It can call. It can secretly install spyware into your phone. Like so, never provide ADB access. Initially, back in time, there was something called as USB debugging, or which are not USB debugging, but ADB in the developer options was by default enabled. But nowadays it is by default disabled and it is in a developer mode, which is by default disabled, and we have to enable it. And that is also called as wireless ADB, which is present. So most of use hacking attacks and various kind of USB-based attacks actually used to occur using ADB, where an attacker can take entire control of your phone and instead of implant spyware, backdoor malware and stuff. Like we already know that using ADB you can push files, pull files. You can so attacker can download files. So you might have seen in the red news and cases in which there are airport stations, or we can say platforms, where we just insert our USB into a random charging point, and our phones get compromised and data get compromised. So the reason behind is nothing but the ADB. But this has reduced a lot because nowadays there is something called ADB authorization check is required. So once you insert an ADB to a new device and charging station or something, so you get an alert. Do you want to allow or trust this particular device? And if you trust it for once, it will be trusted for the particular time. If you trust it always, then you will get a entire communication all the time. So ADB is something like an interface that is used to connect your device and the system basically, or the laptop or desktop, whatever it is. So there are lots of ADB commands that we can use that ADB. So for connecting, so initially check to start the server. So use ADB start hyphen server. And for installation, you can use 15 seconds ADB. You can just Google out like 15 seconds ADB in case some people might get an error that ADB command not found. So for them, it is like you can use this particular 15 seconds ADB. You can use XA forums which is the trusted site, to be honest. Or if you don't want to go with this exe forums, you want to be more authentic, more official source, you can use like platform tools. That is the best I can say. Go over here, and this is the official source for downloading anything related to Android. That is developer.android.com. And from here, you can just scroll it down, and you will be getting to see the platform tools somewhere. One second, one second, this account. Platform tools. Download. I think okay. On this, no, yeah, not this. This one. Okay, here's it. So for Windows, Mac, Linux, whichever you want, you can just download it. And I always recommend to download from the official source. So don't download from any other website. So download anything. If you want to download anything, you'll download from developer.android.com. So because we never know from various different sources, it might be official file, it might be malware, it might be something. That backdoor might be implemented. So always download from the official source, and then you have to just configure the environment variables. You can just Google it out how to configure environment variables. So in the environment variable, you have to assist there's something called path and path. You can just set up the path for ADB so that you can run ADB from anywhere. For example, if I just open CMD and write ADB, so I'm able to run this particular command. But you might not be able to run it without going to platform source folder. So you have to configure this ADB as a system variable so that you can run it from anywhere from your system. So you don't have to actually rely on that particular folder going again and again, going to a part and running the ADB command. So for running the ADB command, it is like ADB space kill sorry, space start hyphen server. Sometimes you might face some errors like ADB is outdated or ADB is unable to connect or something. So just kill add ADB space kill hyphen server and then start. Once you start the server, then you can connect like ADB connect IP address. This will work. This IP address will work if you have enabled the wireless ADB. And nowadays, if you're using the newer version of phone like Android 10 or 11, so this ADB command won't work for the wireless one. You have to use ADB pair. You ADB pair the IP address and the port number. Then you will be getting a kind of PIN or OTP kind of stuff into a phone itself. You have to enter that pairing code. Once you enter that pairing code, then you will be able to connect it. Okay. So you want to see it practically, or people are familiar with it? Then we can skip this practical part.
Practical, sir.
Okay.
Practical, sir.
Okay, let's try to see in the older phone as well as a newer phone. So let's try to use a phone that is having Android version 9 or something, older one. So when it comes to USB, there is nothing. Once let me start my phone. It will take some time to build. By the time I will just complete the next part. When the phone starts, I will be good taking the practical part. So that's some ADB devices, which will list out what are devices that are connected to the ADB. Then there's our ADB shell, which helps you to give the shell of the Android phone. Okay, but why is this ADB hyphen S being used? Any idea? If since most of people here are techie and might have used ADB for various reasons, might be the routing phone taking the shell or file transfer or various other things and Wi-Fi and stuff. So any idea why exactly this hyphen S being used? Or have anybody used this hyphen S command before? ADB hyphen S. Since like nobody has used hyphen S, at least might be they might have not used this command, but have triggered such kind of errors like 2 or more emulators found or 2 or more devices found. Anyone?
Sir, if we have
Okay.
two or more emulators, then we can specify the IP and port to select the
Yeah.
particular one.
No, but in that scenario, sometimes it won't work. So hence we are using hyphen S. So for specifying the IP and port number, na, So we have to use -s command. That's what I was about to say. We will be seeing that part also once once the phones get started. Cable
Okay,
देना.
sir.
Oh, cable. So let me just put the cable. Then here is it. So my phone is get started. So initially the best part is like the ADB. Let me load devices. So there is no the devices are not present. Okay, so it will show there is no devices. Now what I will do, I will just attach my phone to the USB, and I will turn on the USB debugging mode because that is required for ADB to connect. Some advance. I'll just go to phone, click on build number. Yes, open AnyDesk for better viewing experience. Yep. Yes. So currently I'm using a phone that is having Android version 9. That's older version phone. Okay. So currently we can see there's no device present. And but to connect to this particular but the device already connected to, we can say, using USB, that you can check over here. You see if I just, here's it. So Asus Exynos TD. So this is connected. So this indicates that ideally we should get a ADB connection, but why we are not getting a ADB connection? Because this developer option is disabled. So we have to click on this developer options and enter some kind of password, and now you are a developer. So we will getting this developer option enabled, and here we just have to go and we have to enable USB debugging. Once we enable this USB debugging, in that scenario, now you will be able to see, like let's try to do ADB devices. Automatically device keep connected because I have already authorized before, like always allow. This is the reason it got connected. But what if I just enable what if I just enable a Wi-Fi ADB also? Like if I just enable the Wi-Fi ADB too, or we can say using the IP address. Okay, one second. Just suppose if I just want to connect using Wi-Fi, let me check the Wi-Fi network or IP address. So my IP address is 0.7. So ADB connect. Let me write ADB shell like we discussed before. So we are getting the shell directly. We don't have to pass anything or specify any kind of IP or something. ADB shell works flawlessly. But what if I just connect to this particular address like ADB connect the IP address 192.1.168.0.7 colon 555 the default port number for ADB. So it is connected. So what if I try ADB shell? It will say one or more emulator found. Like someone mentioned, we can mention the IP address of the particular ADB, right? ADB. So if I want a ADB shell, what should the command? Can someone specify?
ADB-S.
Yeah, exactly. ADB-S. If you won't write a -s now, so it won't work. If it's working, then I'm not sure. For example, if you want to connect this particular IP address, just have to write and shell. So we are getting the shell of this particular IP address. Getting it. And if I just write ADB shell, it won't work. So this is how this -s command works. So if I want to get access to some different one, let's take this one. We just have to type on this particular device, and we will getting access to this particular device. And here, so now I will say If you enter anything, it is getting connected. Let's try to this. It will say device not found. So this is how it will work. Simple, clear.
Sir, what can we do after getting the shell? Getting into the shell?
Getting the shell, we can do anything. Like you can just read files. You can push, pull. There are lots of things that you can do. For example, let me show you example. You can run application. So yes, you are able to see all the files. You can push file, you can pull file, you can install in file, you can run scripts, you can, it's like you have got, for example, you can do privilege escalation or like sudo su and so just su. So you are now root. For example, who am I? So I'm root over here. So I go to privileges, exit, like who am I? It will be shell. So you can just take the entire control of this particular system. Like you can take the remote of this particular system, control this device. You can uninstall, you can delete files, update files, download files. You can just restart this particular phone, reboot this one. You can do a number of things once you get access to the ADB of the or shell. It is as good as saying that you have actually got access to this particular device. Got it? Okay. You can run a malware and stuff. So this is like app install. If you want to install any kind of application, so you just have to install ADB install app name or package name basically. You can push file for you into ADB push and file name and the directory where the file to be pushed. If you want to pull the file, or we can say, so we can use ADB pull and download the and enter the file name on the path where the file exists, and you will do pull the file, and there is something called ADB logcat that we will be seeing, in which you will be able to see all the logs that are running coming for this particular phone. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, can we also change the password of the phone? Means if we can get the access of all the files, so can we also change the means the for example, we have a passcode file in our Android somewhere located. So can we modify that also?
Yeah, if you have a root access now, then you can do it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
But unless you don't have root access, you won't be able to do it. But in latest phones, I'm not 100% sure for the latest Android version, like Android 13 and stuff. But till Android 9, it was very easy. But for Android 13, I think they have some additional implementations like signature, and there is something called key store probably, because of which updating the password is a bit tedious. But until Android 9, it was very easy. You just have to delete that particular file. For example, you have a pattern or password or something. So I don't recall the directory, but once going to a directory, you can just create a key file or replace that key file, and your password will be changed to the swipe like none. Got it?
Yes, sir. Sir, one more question though.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, how about efficiency of brute force? Can we use ADB to do brute force on our passcode?
No, we cannot directly do, but we can indirectly do it. For example, we can run and like scripts to perform this task. For example, you might be knowing that there is a command called AV push and AV pull, and since we have a root access, we can push a malicious file that will perform the brute forcing task, and or we can say automation task. Well, you have made a APK that does this task of brute forcing or automation or scripting basically. Okay. And once you program a particular application, you just or a script basically or bash script. We can also run a bash script and send it to an Android device that is using push command. And since you have a shell, you can just execute that particular file. Like you can start if it's an APK, you can use em start -n package name and the component name that you want to start for APK for Android application. If the script, then you can use dots by getting the shell. You can use chmod plus x and give the execute permissions and dot slash that file name, and that shell will get executed, or we can say the file will get executed. And this is how you can do. But for running a script and stuff, you might be needing a root privilege. For running an application, you don't need any root privilege. Got it?
Understand. Thank you, sir.
And that you can in that particular manner you can do. What if the phone is locked? How can we access using this tool? So doesn't matter if the phone is locked or it is still open. ADB has access to it in the background. Let me just show you. Here's it. And once you get the ADB access, this is my phone. And let me just lock the phone. The phone is locked. Okay. Then ADB devices and ADB -S. So here's it.
So, but to connect it to ADB, we need to unlock the phone, right?
No, it is not required. Even let me just like
If
kills.
the
Okay.
developer options is not open, then
That also works in case your phone is connected to the VN this now. Then you can do one second. Let me just unlock my phone once and disable the developer options. Mm, okay. Let me just show you. If you disable this developer options, so you might be seeing the USB is disabled and the developer option is also disabled. Okay. Along with this, I have also logged my phone. Everything is changed. You are able to see, right? And see, my phone is logged and everything is logged now. And the developer option is disabled. USB debugging is also disabled. ADB connect. If I know the IP address, that is this. Okay. And I will just paste it the ADB and ADB share. So even if you're connected to a Wi-Fi, same Wi-Fi network, and you have provided as your ADB port is open, then also you can connect. It is not like USB debugging is required. USB debugging is required in a case you are connected to a USB like a charging cable or USB wire basically. If you're connected wirelessly, doesn't matter. The wireless USB, the wireless ADB is enabled. That's okay in the current scenario, but this is not the same case for the latest phones. If we see about the latest phone, let's me connect my latest phone that is and which has we're running on Android 12 or 13. In that scenario, you won't be because you need a OTP to connect. So I won't be displaying my new phone because that's my personal device and but I will be letting you know in the screen how exactly it works. One second. It's okay. Let me just uh, open the screen and share and discover new phone also. So is it and as okay, so it's this one. Start now. So once I just open the particular screen, then I will show you. Just about yeah, developer options. Here is it. So here developer options, and here there is something called as use debugging. I'm disabling it because that is the common one which everyone knows. I am enabling wireless debugging. So it is asking me allow this network. So for example, if I am allowing it, so this is wireless debugging. But for this, I need to click on here, and there's something called as QR code or pairing code. So something like this. So I have to enter this pairing code into my device to connect to my wireless. So initially there was no OTP or something in place, but now the Android is becoming secure and secure, and now we need this OTP and stuff in latest Android phones. So we won't be able to connect directly. unless the person won't provide OTP direct. And so now I have to do something like ADB. Even the traditional port won't work. Like this port is dynamic when it comes to Android 10 and 11. So we have a different port altogether. For example, if I click cancel, okay, and if I click on open, see the port changed. Even the pairing code changed. So it's a dynamic code and dynamic pairing code. So it is not easy to crack into ADB easily nowadays. 4:39:2:4:1. This even this connect won't work. Use to ADB pair command. Once again, there's some problem. Let me just see what went wrong. This command once again. I think something went wrong. Command. No. ADB pair works. I'm not sure what exactly is getting wrong. Might be I'm missing something. The visual ADB emu locker forward. What's we can also take the reverse shell stuff. ADB pair should work. I'm not sure what is going wrong because I ideally use it into my organization on daily basis. Just my personal laptop, so I'm not sure. ADB command. So ideally ADB pair IP address and it should give, yeah, see here is it. ADB pair IP address and port number and it will ask for pairing code. I'm not sure what exactly is going wrong. Let me just kill the server. -kill -server. So my command is right, but sometime it is.
So I think it works in some other version. I think 1.0.41.
Maybe this ADB is
Yeah, the
outdated.
version.
The version is outdated, and since I don't use in the in my personal laptop most often ADB, so it might be using an outdated version. But if you use the newer version, so you'll be seeing much better results. So let me just
it works on 1.0.41.
one second. Platform tools download. Let me download the new tools right now. And here's it. It's this folder and this downloads folder and test extract more options check here and this folder and here's it cmd. So if I do ADB devices mostly, yeah. So now ADB pair. Now let's try to do this pairing part. Probably it should work. 192.168.1.4:39241 enter. Here's it. So I was using the older version of platform tools on ADB and that was not supporting this part because it's a new feature which is introduced in latest in Android and it was not working. So the command was correct. The version that I was using was not correct. And so in case you are facing this kind of issues, you can troubleshoot it out and done it. So that's it. Success repaired. Now if I do ADB devices, sorry, now I have connected this particular ADB, but I'm not like I have paired this particular ADB, but not connected. Once I pair now, then we can go ahead and connect. For connecting, you need ADB connect, and here you will getting a new IP address and port number. and the older one. So now we can connect like ADB 192.168.0.4 colon 38025 and enter. And now I'm connected. So I'm getting a notification over here. That is an additional security. Even though if you connect somehow, the person will get a notification and it will always stay in here. And once I click on here, it will ask you to disable this part and it won't go under unless you disable this particular ADB. Okay. And if I unlock this phone, now ADB shell, and here's it. I got the shell of it. Who am I? I will get a shell. So it doesn't matter if it is locked or not. But nowadays, the Android latest version of phones have a much more layer of security. It has dynamic OTPs kind of stuff or pairing keys, and even the IP address and port numbers keeps on changing. IP address remains the same, but the port number keeps on changing, and it becomes difficult for an attacker to get the shell access directly on the shell access. So this Jews hacking attacks and various kind of attacks are now restricted to a greater extent. I hope this tutorial was um, like you like this tutorial and you understood the background concept of how exactly the AD was vulnerable before and now how exactly it's evolved with time. So whichever phone you have, it might be the Android or like older phone or new phone. In both the scenarios, you can use ADB and connect your phone and try to exploit and perform some exploitation stuff. Okay. Now coming to the next part. Any more questions, or shall we move ahead?
Sir, does ADB works on iPhones too?
Yeah, iPhone they have some different thing. I don't recollect exactly, but iPhone has various shell. I don't recollect exactly. We can connect using SH in iPhone. One second, let me just go with the iPhone part. Just use iPhone. I don't recollect the exact terminology because I'm not much familiar with the iPhone. But yeah, in iPhone also we can connect. I think iOS debug bridge, something like this is present in iPhone.
Okay.
Okay. And just go check for iPhone debug bridge. iPhone we have some, yeah, IDB, iOS development bridge. So there's something that is used IDB in iPhone.
ADB.
Okay. Okay, so you can just check for this particular iPhone debug bridge, and this is how you can use this particular device and stuff. Okay, now coming to the next part, to the next topic, that is on how to see all the packages and stuff. So if you want to see the packages, so there's something called a CD data, and here in this particular folder you can see all the packages that are installed. It differs from iPhone. It is different. For Android it is different. But most focusing I am focusing on Android part because I'm a full-time Android pen tester. I'm not. I have the knowledge for iOS, but not in depth knowledge I can say. So let's me connect my previous phone again. It'll be the testing phone. It'll be shell. Sorry, this is something that you can see is ADB service outdated. If already existing, like if you're installing a new version as well as the older version, in that scenario you will be seeing this kind of error. And to fix this error, you can use ADB kill server. One second. Mm, mm. Let's check. ADB start server. Okay, so one second, I'm just getting a call. हेलो सर मैं लेक्चर में हूँ, मैं लेक्चर सिखा रहा हूँ, मैं आपको करता हूँ कॉल.
ठीक है फिर मैं 3 3:30 बजे से कॉल.
Okay. Okay, so it will be start server. Now the server started. Now you should not get any kind of errors probably. So it will be devices. We are not getting devices because we haven't connected any device. So let's try to connect one device. Let me just add IP address of one device. ADB connect 192.168.0.7:5555. Enter. I'm connected and ADB shell. I got the shell. And now what we are able to see, okay, packages 3D slash data data data. And if I do ls, okay, let me know change permissions. And if I do ls, and I'm going to see all the packages of the application that I installed into my phone. You getting me? Like GeoTV, GeoPlusA, GeoPVL, and most of, since I'm from the Geo organization, most of the applications in my phone are related to Geo, because we do pen testing on the regular basis for Geo applications. So you are able to see the Geo everywhere. Okay, so that's it. Let's see, not the control is okay. So this is how you can see all the packages that are present. And if you just see also the APK file, for example, the CD and CD APK app. And here this is nothing but all the packages with the APK file. So this is the APK file name of the APK, and you can just download this and you will be able to see it. So when you you might be familiar with this stuff like when you're using share it app and various other kind of applications through which you are able to share the applications, right? So what do you think, from where do they are getting the applications? So they are getting the applications from this particular directory, or just creating that particular application APK file. So when you are installing an application now, so a single APK file is actually moved to this particular directory called app, and the all the files, or we can say the data it is being stored, or you can say local directory, local database, sessions, and everything. All the data is being stored into this particular data and the packaging directory. And here you are able to see all the local database and local files, and this is restricted to this particular file only. For example, the data for the Candy Crush is only accessible by Candy Crush application, except on one condition, that is a bug altogether, that is backup is equal to true. So if you see backup is equal to true, then this particular data can be accessible by any Android application or any any other application also. Okay, so that will be saying the backup is equal to exploit in the further sessions when we will be looking deep diving into the manifest file and stuff. So for the time being, we are just focusing on ADB and why exactly this. Why are we learning this part? So whenever I'm teaching theory, I try to interlink with the practical part. So why are we learning this theory and how do we using the practical part? Okay. So Lockcat. So why exactly Lockcat is being used? Sometimes the application like leaves traces of, we can say, logs. For example, you are trying to enter a credit card number, and this particular logs might be printing everything in the terminal. So they don't print it intentionally. So for debugging purpose, for to understand what is going in the background, they just developers use println command to print lots of things, but they sometimes forget to remove the logs or clear the logs, or just remove that code part of the code in which they are printing sensitive information. If some sensitive information is being printed, so in that part we can report this as sensitive information logs or sensitive information disclosure. So we use ADB Lockcat. Even if you're using like ADB, and then just use Lockcat and you get lots of logs. So these are entire application logs that are working. But if you don't want this all these logs, so what we do is like we use grep command, grep, and we just add the package name. Whatever package name you're working on. So you can just enter packaging and you will be able to see very limited logs and not so many logs. But these logs are not colored. So if you want the colored logs, much better output. And this I indicates information, D indicates debug, E indicates error. So there are, for example, here E. So there are various terminologies to understand these particular logs to help you understand things better. You can use PID Lockcat. That is a much better one, better alternative you can say. That helps you to like classify these logs using different colors. like green, yellow, red, and various other blue and stuff. So it will be help if whenever you see a red, you can see okay, it's not the critical one. I is like information. So this is like safe. And that's something like something similar to it. So you can use PID lock cat. Okay, cool. Lock cat part. Now coming to the Android startup process. So when you are seeing that you are starting your Android phone, or when you are say when you're rooting your Android phone, so how do this applications know that you have a rooted phone, or how do you know like the Android is getting started, or what is the background process of the Android phone? So it comes like there's something called bootloader. You might have familiar with this terms like bootloader. So what is bootloader? What's in process and stuff. But even you might have used some bootloader commands, the stock ROM and custom recovery and stuff. So any idea what exactly is a bootloader? I believe most of you might have already used it.
Yes, to use the custom rooms like CNS
Uh,
and
right. So,
restricted remix.
hmm. So any idea what is this bootloader and why it is used apart from this, the technical terms which we ideally do blindly? And why do we unlock this bootloader? What is the reason for unlocking this bootloader or OEM and stuff?
To get the admin access for Android.
No. So that is something related to the, and that has no point with the bootloader, right? We are after unlocking the bootloader, whatever process we do, that is to get the admin access and stuff. Okay. So bootloader is nothing but that is booting the kernel, and it is starting the process, init process basically, like starting the entire. So for booting of the kernel, uh, we want to do anything at the kernel level, or we want to install anything or reload or install in OS or something. This bootloader needs to be enabled. So, but the problem is like this application vendors or this like the manufacturers don't want us to do it. Okay, they don't want us to modify it. It's like someone has provided you a assembled product and they don't want to disassemble it, they want to remodify it or make any modifications into it, because when we do some kind of modifications, there's high chance we might break it, or the warranty gets void and everything. Like they have troubles with a lot of security and stuff. So these vendors don't want to change the security, or we can say the patterns and everything of their particular OS. So they lock this bootloader altogether. Nowadays, to enable bootloader as one more check enable, that is OEM unlock. You might be familiar with this term. Like initially there wasn't something like bootloader unlock or OEM unlock and everything, but there is a most challenging part is like they have to identify whether this phone is bricked or not. Like I also used to be part of this part. Like we used to brick the phone, and then we used to reinstall the stock ROM or do something in which we can lock this phone or make it something like the errors will get resolved. And we used to submit to the warranty service vendor, like my phone got logged automatically, like it is not working automatically. So it is very difficult for them to identify whether a phone is rooted or not. Once we unroot our phone, if your phone gets breaked, if your phone is in boot loop position, in that scenario, it is very difficult to understand whether the phone was has been bricked while rooting the phone, or is it getting bricked while performing some action, or what might be the reason. It's a natural one, or it is the intended one. So it is very difficult. So now they have introduced something called as taking permissions to root. So this is not the scenario in every phone. In MI, you might be seeing that you have to request a ticket to the MI team, or send an email or something to MI team, and in their phone itself, and you'll be able to unlock this phone. This is the same scenario with Samsung also, but in when it comes to OnePlus, it is not the scenario in and every phone has a different approach basically altogether, or some have that they have to sign up with this particular stuff. So this actually gives an signal indication that the user is actually trying to unlock the phone. And this particular check gives an analytical data to the device, to the vendor. Basically, they have tried to unlock the unlock the OEM, they unlock the boot. So even though we do manipulations and everything, the database or the records have a data that we have unlocked our phone. This is the main reason for unlocking the bootloader and stuff. So they are keeping it logged, and there's no point to actually keep it logged. Only for tracking purpose, they're keeping logged so that once you unlock it, they will get an update, and we cannot fool them easily. Got it? The reason being OEM unlocks and stuff. So actually, there's no point in keeping log, but to have a track of it, they have just enabled this additional check, and it made it difficult for us to pull them. So it is booting of the kernel, and it is starting the init process. Init process. This is run by bootloader and is responsible for running various components, running the background. So when we say when we are booting this bootloader, you might be seeing there is a logo that is coming for a bit interval of time. Initially, the time period was more, but now the time period has been reduced because the processors have become faster, much faster. So behind this logo animation, there are lots of things that are running and starting. There are components that you see in the first 2-3 layers. Basically, these components get started, and it has a init process. We are called init RC. Okay, this init RC file has a configuration of all of them, and it has various other files called the zygote process and various other process in which get started during this particular time. And when we say we are routing something, we are actually injecting some additional things into this particular process, and also called a zygote process. We're injecting some new processes and new permissions and everything into the zygote process. So it is difficult to hijack this zygote process in iOS. So you might have seen in iPhones, whenever you try to jailbreak your phone, whenever you reboot, the jailbreak is removed. The same occurs when it comes to Samsung phones. Some of the Samsung, I used to have a Samsung phone, Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime probably. In this, as soon as you reboot the phone, it will check the zygote process, and it will remove that particular root process, and your phone will be entered boot loop, or your phone the root enablement is by default disabled. So this scenario through which they are just identifying the zygote process and trying to analyze. Even if you install any kind of modules, you might have seen it will say that a restart required. The reason is like whatever you're doing in a rooted phone, you are adding some additional modules or something. So it has to be introduced in a zygote process and the init process so that it can be initiated during the time of boot. Okay, so this is how it will work. Then what is Dalvik virtual machine? We have seen in the initial stage. So once you start the zygote process, it is responsible for loading this VM. So this zygote process has all SRC file, which is starting all the component that are required. Once all the components are satisfied, it will start this particular VM. And once we start this particular VM, we will be getting this message called a boot completed broadcast. Like Android starting loading, you will get some kind of message, and you might have seen this part. Once you restart your phone, Android started loading, and your UI gets started automatically. So this is where it comes like boot completed broadcast, and you are able to see all the applications, messages and applications loading into it. So if you want to see the internals of this particular application, then you can actually check it. Like you can go to ADB shell, you can just do PS and check for PID is equal to 1. Okay. Do you want to see this part? Or wanna skip it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me do one. Do PS and PS. Okay, we are not able to see anything. So in this scenario, what you can do, PS hyphen capital A. So you're able to see lots of things, but we can just grab it or initials. There are lots of processes into my phone running. So here is it. the PID is equal to 1, the first process that we are seeing. So PID is equal to 1. It's nothing but the init process. So this is the first process that is that gets started, and that is the init process that we are talking about when we are talking about the bootloader and the init process, which is getting started. So this is the one that we can see in the Android phone. Then we can also list out things, and we can see init.rc that has all the configuration. So we can just like do ls and just grab the init particular part, and we will be able to see. Let me show you this part. CD and this is slash. Okay, let's. Are you able to see? Rep. So you can see init environment RC custom. So as the phone has been increased, so Zygote process like for 32-bit architecture, 64-bit architecture and stuff. You can see all the configuration files that are being present. So all these files are actually getting run, and so there's not just we can say from the theoretical point of view, we are actually seeing these things in the practical. We can also cat this particular RC file and see what exactly the details or configuration has been done. We can also modify this when we are saying about the custom ROMs, custom things, custom configurations. We actually just modify this kind of files and do custom customization and build a new OS and stuff. You can you have a lot of videos, not a lot of videos, but you might find some videos like how to create a custom ROM, how to build a custom ROM, how to modify, tweak or something into this particular part. We can also grab the process for Zygote, which we are saying, like you can just go yes and ps-a grab Zygote, and we getting the Zygote process ps-a, and let me just grab -i y got Zygote, and here's it. We will be getting Zygote 64, the web view, and this 34-bit Zygote system, where we can see all this processes. Okay. Unzipping is already done. I have already shown you how to unzip files. You can just rename the extension .apk.zip, and we can able to see. But unzipping and decompiling different. This is the most important question that is asked in the interview. Like, is unzipping and decompiling same? And most of people say yes, or they get confused. So today I have shown you like what will happen when we unzip the file. We can see the components. We cannot see the details of this particular file. We cannot see the dex cluster dex file when we unzip, but when we decompile, we can see everything in plain text. Or we can, to be specific, we can say even in decompile, there are two options. One is the classes file that we are able to see, that is in JDX. The things that we see, that is a Java code basically, but the Java bytecode or Delphi bytecode that we are seeing. But if we decompile using APK tool, okay, when you decompile using APK tool, so APK tool is a different tool. In that we won't be able to see Java code. We will be able to see Smalley code. But in this particular, once again, okay, let me just open this some file. This is the XML file, so this is not the Java code. One second, let me just hacker or assemble Java. Which application are open?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Sir, which software are you using this?
JDX, I already mentioned before, JDX UI.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. The UI and activity and some tasks. Let's open any random activity is debug enabled. So this is how it looks like. This is something that is open in the JDX, but this same code, this same Java code, or we can which is the Java class files. When you open in APK tool now, that will be something like this. It is more complex. This is nothing but a Smalley language. Okay, Smalley language, SMALI. So what's the difference between this Java code and the Smalley language? The difference between this is like Java code is very easy to understand, whereas Smalley is a bit difficult. It is a low-level language, and we can say it's kind of assembly language. We can say this Smalley language. just because it is a very low level language and we can say assembly language, we can modify this code and recompile this code. Whereas when it comes to Java code, now we won't be able to recompile it. Once you decompile this using JDX, you won't. Once you modify this particular code, na Java code, you won't be able to recompile it. You won't be able to convert it into an application again. But when it comes to Smalley, you can modify this code and convert it into a single application and reinstall it. So when you are seeing this modern applications, like crack applications or modern applications, they actually, what you do is like they decompile it, they modify it, and they recompile it and create a mod of this particular application. So now we are getting the concept behind creating mods. So they use a Smalley language as assembly language, we can say, to be specific, or like a generic term might be assembly if someone is not knowing what exactly Smalley is. But to be specific, it is a Smalley language in which they are decompiling, and we can also decode this part. And there's one more tool which helps you to understand the difference and linking between how the translation of Java to Smalley. So let me just show you one simple example. So for example, this is line number 9, or let's say line number specific to code. Let's say this line number something messed up. Okay. Okay, let's take line number 23. So here you have to go scroll up here and you will see much more lines, and here line 15, line number 24. So here is it. So this is the particular line. The single line has so many things to do it, and the same occurs over here is a very simple format. Line number 23 by exactly yes. Or 20. I think this code got messed up on 12, 13, 13, it repeat things have occurred. Even I have one more tool which is good enough. That is Smalley helper. Let me check if I have it. Okay, here's it. Open path and here's it. And execute this file. And here you will be able to understand how exactly what is array length. So our difference between what version A indicates, BB indicates, and various other things. So if we invoke or if is equal to XML. So it's a translation between it is trying to help how exactly this you can decode this particular character. When you say A, VA, VA target or something, EQZ or XQZ or something. So how exactly and this is working. So if you want to learn more on it on this particular part, then you can take help of this particular part to decode this Smalley language and stuff. Let me just show you. Here you are able to see D1, V1, and this comment 0 or whatever the terminologies are, V0, V1. So what exactly this V0 indicates, what are things, so that everything you can just have to go one on one and try to understand using this. So here with V1, V0, V3 are indirectly is equal to a range of V1 to V3 invoke direct or whatever it is. V indicates void, R indicates a written type. So wherever you see V, we see R, everything. So this V, P, and everything has some kind of understanding and decoding part into it. So it takes like more efforts are required to understand Smalley. This same something around 29 lines of code in Smalley becomes around 300 plus lines of code. So there's a difference, like 29 to 300, more than 300. So you can give an estimation how complex a Smalley language is. But this Smalley language is the one that is required to understand for code modification or reverse engineering part. If you are really interested in under reverse engineering, then I would say you have to master the Smalley language. Got it? Clear? So whenever someone asks you next time, what's the difference between zip and unzipping and decompiling? Now you answer. Unzipping doesn't show the contents in plain text. Unzipping doesn't decompile the text file. And even when you come to decompiling, there are two types of decompiling. One is decompiling the code into Java using JDX, and second is Smalley, that is a lower level language. In Smalley, it is we can recompile the code, whereas in Java we cannot recompile the code. We can only decompile it. But for reading, ease of reading, we use Java, and for reversing and modification code, we use Smalley, where it is more complex. We can interlink this Java code with the Smalley code and try to modify it and work upon it. Clear? Okay, let me close it. Close it. And minimize it. So decommand, do two different things. So some are file are present and compulsory, and some are additional. So classed text file is compulsory and manifest file. These two files are compulsory. And this is the file where you can where the entire application works. Like I already mentioned, classed text file. This is where the characteristics of application or the permission, everything is defined. And these are the additional files that are not necessary. That are additional files. Some might have it, some might not have it. For example, if you see this file, so this is the class. When we say the class text file, it's nothing but source code. Okay, this source code is nothing but class text file. And these are resources that I mentioned that might be an optional, like you might have seen Meta and lib, Kotlin. The assets are nothing but this additional file, like certificate files and other files, private and public certificates. These are the Kotlin additional files. These are lib is nothing but libraries, and this Meta NF is all the metadata versions and everything. You can see here. You can just explore this stuff. Most of metadata and everything is present. This is also an internal library for SSL pinning part. So OKHTTP is the library for SSL pinning that is used. So here you will see like images, colors, fonts, and everything. These are everything present in the resource file. Apart from this, there is one more file which is hidden, and most of the people miss it. That is resource.arsc. Yes, in this you get some of the resources which are very important. That is values. In values, there is something called strings.xml. So most of secrets are or we can say secrets, passwords, OTPs, and everything are present. So for example, see AES, IV password, encryption password, and various backdoor password and everything. So you get lots of secret information in real life also, like API keys and everything are mostly hardcore in this particular file. So this is the one of the most important file when it comes from a bug hunting and pen testing perspective. So in real life also you get lots of information. Even in production applications, you get lots of lots of information in this particular file. So this is the important file, and there is one more file that's important. Well, so many values. That's values. No, not XML. That's your file called XML. It is not present in every application, but might be present in some of the applications. So let me check if it is present in this application resources. Okay. I don't know. So in this application it is not present. So there is something called as network security config.xml in the XML folder. So that is also important file that is used for SSL pinning bypass and stuff. Okay. So then that's it for this particular structure of this particular files and APKs. So you need to know the structure. Okay. All the folders. Okay. For unzipping using command line, you can use unzip-d. For Windows, you can just right click and unzip. Okay. So JDEX, I have already shown you what is JDEX. This APK tool using command line APK tool do the file name. There is also a GUI tool called APK tool easy, APK easy tool. But APK tool easy tool is no more under, we can say, development phase. It has stopped the development and we don't get any updates. Whereas for APK tool, it is still CLI tool has much more functionality. APK easy tool is easy. It's just drag and drop functionality. But APK tool CLI has n number of a wide range of functionality. We can do application binding and stuff and various other things. Decompiling, we can use a framework, we can attach framework and define architecture and stuff for APK tool CLI. So I would recommend using CLI because that has much more functionality, and the errors you can troubleshoot the errors very easily when it comes to CLI tool. For GUI tool, troubleshooting errors is becomes very complex. So so there's the application signing. So if you want to sign the application or build So you might be familiar with this Android. In Android, if you don't sign the application, so most of the Android phones after 9, at least, or I think at least till 8, the without unsigned application used to work. But from on Android 9 or Android 10, the unsigned applications doesn't work. It gives an error that something like unparse APK unparse unsupported APK, or like some any random error you'll be able to see if you are installing an unsigned application. So you can just you can sign this using, there are multiple tools like jar signer and various things and that you can sign. For Play Store, you have to create a JKS key if you want to publish your application on Play Store. So in that scenario, you need to have a unique package name and a JKS key. So for creating JKS key, you need Android Studio or key sign. Jar signer also, key signer also will work. But you can, but if you want to do on the GUI part, then you can create it using Android Studio. Else you can also use there are various signers that are present, and the JKS key can be used. But for the testing purpose of pen testers, don't actually create a JKS key. Just create a auto key, or we can say test keys basically, and sign it using test keys. So difference between JKS key and test keys is nothing but test keys are like used built using intermediate or automated data, whereas JKS key and requires a proper information like organization link, unit, and address details and various other details, including the password, key pass, key store, and that's a so there are lots of things that are required for the JKS key. I have created both of them. So if you want to do manually, this JEDAX tool is a full automation tool that does recompilation of application, small e Java, class at Dex and everything. But if you want to understand how exactly this Dex file or do it manually, then you can use various other tools like Dex to jar, and like I use D2 Dex to jar, that will be converting this Dex to the file, the jar file, and from this jar file to classes under Java file and stuff. But this when from since we have got this tool, we don't have to rely manually on doing all these things. But I believe we should be knowing the background concept of how it will be done without any tool. So for that, we can say with alternatives basically. Suppose if you don't have this tool, what you will do? Then you can use alternative like xjar, tar, or various other commands to do this part. So this is all for today. We have a reset time limit of 12, and theoretical part is done. Now, whatever we will doing the next lecture will be 100% practical. There won't be any theory. Till here it was theory, and from here we will be starting co-op top 10, static analysis as well, dynamic analysis, full-fledged practicals. I hope you enjoy the lecture. If there are any questions, you're always welcome. Yeah, and if any feedback, you can just let me know so that I can incorporate all this part in the next lecture, upcoming lectures, which will be completely theoretical. Right, not theoretical, it will be practical. Okay, I try to introduce bit practicals that can be possible in today's lecture, but next lecture is completely practical.
So
Okay.
are you also going to cover APK binding in the next lecture?
APK binding, yeah, we can cover, but probably that is not a part of this part. That is completely into spyware building and stuff. But we can try if you can cover. It's totally depend on how much time we can get. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, someone mentioned that can we get this PDF? This PDF is completely like most of people won't be able to understand this part because my writing is not so good. And secondly, it also contains some additional information into this PDF which cannot be shared. So, and 90% people won't be able to understand this writing. So I would recommend creating your own notes, and there's nothing more into this particular PDF. Yeah. If it is a normal text one, I would have given you, but this handwritten notes, I don't recommend sharing it with others. Okay. I will give you other parts, like for example, this there's a mind map that I will be sharing with you in the next lecture. There will be other notes which are digital notes that I'll be sharing with you. So no worries for the digital notes. There are a lot of checklists, OAuth top 10 checklists, and various exploration tools, scripts, and stuff. So even if you want a reference to any kind of like JEDEX tool, APK tool, labs, Santuk operating system, that everything I can provide. There is no issue in it. Okay. Anything else? Or should we wind up? Just give a minute once again.
It was very informative, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to hear this. 1 second. Niti, just check the chat. I have just pinged you something. Hello?
Yes, KK, yeah. Just a second.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Till then, I will just round up a few things that I've just missed accidentally. But we had something talk on this part like split APK, or you can say different kind of other APKs that will be also covering in the next part. Like we have seen most of the people only covering the part which is related to which are related to what the Java application, but we will be saving something which are related to like Kotlin or single APK, split APK, single APK. There are tools like through which you can just convert this split APK, single APK, and decompile and React Native applications. So the Java JDK which I mentioned, the JDK part, or we can say APK tool, most of these tools only support the Java based and Kotlin based application, but they don't support a React Native application. So there are tools like React Native decompiler. For us here, for MacBook it is present. For Linux it is this part, but no, not this one. But there is a tool called npm decompiler. React Native decompiler. GitHub. Okay, so here's it. So for iOS and Android bundle, so we have such kind of tools that we can use to decompile React Native applications. So we will look into this part like how can we use leverage other things like which are uncovered by most of them. So we also have a quiz link and a feedback link that you can go through. These are other tools that you can use. So for brute forcing DB also, now we have this tool, brute force SQL ciphers. Like someone asked me how to brute force the SQL cipher and everything. We can for encrypted and this we can brute force SQLite database and stuff. So this is how. So if you want, then I can provide this tools, resources, and if you want something like courses or stuff, there are lots of courses like Tools Point, AppSec, this playlist that try hack me room, index of books, reverse engineering, and everything. Even there are practice platforms.
So can you please share this like in the chat window if possible?
Yeah, sure. Next lecture we'll be looking one on one and we'll be sharing each and everything. Okay. So these are the entire things and these are the handwritten notes. You can also create a handwritten notes or the digital notes. Initially I used to create the handwritten notes and later on I shift to manual. So nowadays the notes are completely this one, something like this. And this kind of notes I can easily share. So we'll try to keep like text digital notes so that it will be easier to for share this something we'll be covering in the next lecture. Okay. Thank you. I would create a consulted notes for the next lecture and we'll be sharing the next lecture. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Kiran sir.
Thank you, sir, for providing this platform. So we have 3 more minutes for the quiz, and then we will close. Okay. So 2 more minutes. So it's at 12:10 we'll be closing quiz, but there might be some issue with the seconds part. Some people relate. So I will be closing with an additional time, that is at 12:11. Okay. So ideally it's 2 minutes, but probably we'll be closing after more than 2 minutes. So attendance will be based on the quiz only. Once you submit the quiz, the attendance will be recorded based on the quiz. Yeah, and there's a one more announcement. Since this is an internship program, and we also promote people to participate in pen testing projects. So this is a project, or you can say opportunity exclusively for Mumbai region people who are living in Mumbai. Anyone interested in on-site pen testing projects or interested in on-site pen testing projects uh, uh, can contact on my number. Just I'll just sharing my number. 1 second. In the chat, so they can just contact on this particular number, so that we will get in touch with you. This is not my number; it's our team's number. So someone from our team will get in touch with you for internship opportunities of on-site pen testing. So probably for network, web, and Android application. Just send a message like, I am interested for pen testing opportunity on site Mumbai. I'm just sending this message also. I am yeah, and also include resume basically. So without resume, we won't be accepting any of the internship opportunities. Interested.
Guys, if you can put on your videos for a second.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so basically just send a message. I'm interested in on-site pen testing activity in Mumbai location, and attach a resume along with it. So you will be having a basic round of interview. So, and based on that, we will be shortlisting some people for pen testing activity who will be getting a chance. So everything will be based on like under guidance using with our experts, and yeah, that's it. Hoping towards to work with you guys. But to be specific, it is not online, it is on site. So people who are looking for online, or we can say work from home, are kindly don't share the resumes as of now. We will be having one more announcement in case there are offsite opportunities in the future. And people who are apart from Mumbai will be also getting opportunity in the future. So don't DM for like is it available for other locations and stuff. So we have lots of openings across various different regions. So we also have announcements in Kolkata, Bangalore, and various other things. So we'll be letting you know soon. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone, and good luck for your interview. And
Thank you.
Nidhi, you can just close the quiz form and let the feedback form be open if someone wants to update a feedback form can
Yeah.